allow me to reintroduce myself. It is not a coincidence that I am standing in front of you today on the TEDxHarare stage at Alliance Francaise. It was meant to be. 1958, my grandfather was a young teacher at Nyadiri Mission School when he was singing away in the choir, and members of the United Methodist Church discovered him. They found great talent in him and soon formed a group with 3 other young men from mission schools nearby: Mtoko, Zimunya, Mtali. They formed the group and it was named the Ambassadors Quartet. 1959, the group was invited on a tour across America and Europe. Fantastic time they had with their hit African gospel album, From Darkness to Light. 1980, Zimbabwe's independence. My grandfather received a call that he has been appointed Zimbabwe's first ambassador to the Vatican, UNESCO, and France. My father was called back home to Zimbabwe and sat on the first board of directors for Alliance Francaise. It is not a coincidence that I'm in front of you today. It was meant to be. 2003, my life shifted. 11 years old, running out of the classroom to see my mother's car. She was always 45 minutes early with freshly cut vegetables and homemade dip. This day she wasn't there. I looked for her car and a waterfall of sadness engulfed me. After some time, the driver came to pick me up. I arrived home and soon learned from my father that my mother as she was driving back from a massage client, she swerved off into the side of the road because she had lost feeling in her legs. It was safe. She called my father crying, who then contacted emergency services. My mother was rushed in for emergency surgery for 5 hours. During that surgery, she says that she sat and she thought, wow, has this happened to me? 1 month later, there we were, enjoying ourselves at home, March 2003, when she bent over, brushing her teeth, smiling back at us, and coughed. She slipped more discs in her lower back. The neurologists suggested that she take some time with physiotherapy as rehabilitation. She worked hard with her physio. She ended up being so confident that she could now enter into a swimming pool and actually feel herself walking the same way that she could not on land. She got into the swimming pool feeling confident in the morning. Everyone had gone to work. She stayed at home, jumped in, and could not remember how to get out. The anatomy of an injury eats into your mind, your body, and your soul. She was effectively sitting in the injury. After 2017, there I was, enjoying and looking back on my mother's story. And the only thing that saved her was a neurologist suggesting, why don't we do yoga as a form of rehabilitation with your physiotherapy? She attended and I attended those sessions with her. It was fantastic. Within 4 weeks of attending yoga every single day, my mother was able to sit up straight. Yoga had effectively brought her spine back into alignment. Within this space, we were all elated for my mother. 2017, sitting by my computer, having traveled to so many different parts of the world, looking for my why. Norway, where I met the love of my life. Italy, the Caribbean, Sydney, Australia, I searched. It took me coming back home, seated in my room with a computer, and I just saw one yoga teacher training. I sat and I applied. I remember that day drinking ginger tea and meditating right before the interview. As soon as I sat down, boom, Zessa went. Daphne, who was sitting in India, they said, no, it's okay. We get electricity problems here too. Speaking in that soft, low voice that yoga teachers tend to talk in. It can be frustrating, hey, but it is soothing. I never thought I would talk like this. Within within a couple of moments, Zessa came back on. We began the interview and she asked me one question. She said, Tendai, what would you like to do with yoga? I said, I would like to take it back to my community, demystify it, so it is not witchcraft. And also, I said I wanted to teach the community. She said, Tendai, what would you do as soon as you get back? And I said, I would give 10 free sessions. I didn't have a group yet, but I knew that I could do it. At the end of the conversation, she says, Tendai, I'm giving you a full scholarship in Ubud Bali, Roots of Yoga, Journey In and Expand Out. She then said that there's a lady that was part of her other group. And she said, Tendai, I think that let me contact her. And she paid for my tickets to and from Ubud Bali to Zimbabwe. The kindness of individuals, where you give somebody a chance so they can fly up towards their dreams. 2019, what am I feeling? I look back on the 2 years and I see so much bliss. Bliss meaning samadhi in Sanskrit. Bringing together the 8 limbs of yoga which allow you to look at your life not just from one face but as a jewel, seeing that time is simultaneous. Yoga and the 8 limbs allow you to look at yourself as a stranger, as in a mirror. But with this stranger, you are able now to sit with yourself calmly. You're able to breathe. You are able to practice non-violence, continence, practicing all of these things that deal with ethical standards of yourself. Within yoga, we are taught self-study. Self-study could just be you sitting in your living room and gently listening into the thoughts that come through, saying which you should pick and which you should not. Within Zimbabwe, we hold our breath so much. We receive a WhatsApp message, and everything goes into chaos. We receive the same WhatsApp message, and now a different group. What do? We hold our breath again. How many of you are sitting here, and your breath is ending here? How many of you comfortable in yourselves? I often think, how is it possible that we are in this situation? The neurologists were able to trace my mother's injury back to 19 years prior, when she was pregnant with my brother, slipped on a step, and injured her tailbone. She was sitting in the injury for 19 years before that day where she could not feel her legs. Where did Zimbabwe slip and fall? Where did Zimbabwe miss a step? How long have we been sitting in this injury for? I truly believe that we are able to trace back our past and journey into the future so that we can design it. Not being in a space where we hold our breath with news, but instead taking ownership of your thoughts and gaining control of yourself. How about if Zimbabwe did that too? Tracing back our past to map our future. It can be done. The past 2 years have been bliss. I have taught classes, I have taught on top of Nombo Shower, at other sacred spaces. But my happiest is me teaching at Emerald Hill Children's Home. I've implemented a program 24 months ago for the staff and for the children, dealing with yoga and wellness, but I call it the self-love yoga sessions. These children and the staff are able to sit with themselves, but also find things within their memory that they hid from themselves. They are now able to express themselves. I now have over 100 children that say, Miss Tendai, namaste, namaste. These are children that have been found in the most disheartening places, within bags, on the grounds, on a street. It is terrible. But when they do yoga, their lights shine. And even now, their light is shining brighter. I asked the other day, what would you like to become, to my little ones? They said, Miss Tendai, I want to be a pilot. Miss Tendai, I want to be a soldier. And he walks around like this. He's my favorite. Don't tell anybody. But he now keeps the other ones in check. It's such a blessing to see that yoga can heal. And I believe that Zimbabwe can heal as well. With some reflection, not looking at life from one face, but looking at it as a jewel, seeing all the facets, seeing all the beauty, looking at your life simultaneously. It is not a coincidence that I'm standing in front of you today. It is meant to be. Namaste.